Hey guys, today is April 6, 2020, and this is going to be our lesson for the day. We are going to be working in 7.1, write linear expressions for situations in different forms. In short, we're going to be combining like terms. The standard is 7.EE.1.1. I do want to just emphasize the fact that EE stands for expressions and equations. Our essential question is, how can you use linear expressions to represent a quantity in different ways? And our learning objective is use linear expressions to represent a quantity in different ways. If we look at our essential question and our learning objective, you can see that we are focusing on expressions. The difference between expressions and equations is the fact that equations have equal signs while expressions do not. Okay, our warm-up, I want you to just pause it here and try it on your own. If you completely don't get it, that is fine. You can go along with the video, but I do want you to at least try it on your own for a second. All right, so it says cards lettered A, B, and C will be selected at random in round 1. Cards numbered 1 through 4 will be randomly selected in round 2. Create a table of all the possible outcomes. All right, so the key thing here is they want us to create a table. Okay, for round 1, we have A, B, and C, and then for round 2, we have 1 through 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do, let me try to write this. Round 1, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and write round 1 across the top. And I'm going to go ahead and write round 2 across the bottom. Now, it doesn't matter if you put round 1 on where I put round 2, like going down vertically, or you put round 2 going across horizontally. It really doesn't matter, as long as you have all the options there. So when we're talking about round 1, we're going to go back to the question. It says the cards were lettered A, B, and C. So I'm going to go ahead and write A, B, and C. And that corresponds to round 1. Now round 2, the cards were numbered 1 through 4. So that means 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to write it going down here vertically. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All we need to do is we're creating a table. So let's go ahead and create our table. I'm going to put divisions going across. And then also going vertically. Okay? And hopefully you can see this and get what I'm trying to do. When you're writing it down, it's a lot easier. So now all I'm doing is attaching every round 1 to every round 2. So right here, this is going to be A1. Let me erase that, sorry. All right, A1. Let me see if I can put that in another color for you guys. Let's do blue. All right, for this is going to be B1. All I'm doing is going to the B, going down, looking across, and that's 1. So this is going to be C1. I'm going to go back this way. This is now going to be I'm going to go down to 2. So it's A2. This is B2. This is C2. And I'm doing it going I'm basically going down to A, doing all the 1s, then I'm doing all the 2s. You don't have to do that. You can do them going straight down from the A. So this is going to be A3. And then if you wanted to keep going down, this would just be A4. You can do it that way as well. It doesn't really matter which way you choose to do it, as long as you're making sure you're connecting every round 1 option with every round 2 option. So this would be B3. Okay, I can't really maneuver this thing. B3, this would be B4, but hopefully you're getting the point. This would be right here would be C3, and this would be C4. Let me see if it's easier with the mouse. C3, and then C4. Okay, that's a little bit easier. Okay, so now when it's saying create a table of all the possible outcomes, if they were to ask us how many possible outcomes, we would go and, let me use my yellow, we would go and actually just count them. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 possible outcomes. Okay. Okay, things to remember before we start. All right, when you are combining like terms, first of all, to combine like terms means to add. You want to make sure you are adding, regardless if you see a negative or a subtraction sign. Make sure when you get down to it, you are turning all of this to an addition problem. It'll make it much simpler for you to actually do it. The next tip I put here is like terms end with the same variable. You want to use your circle and box method to identify your sets of like terms. So if we're looking at this expression here, the like terms here are the p terms, so everything, the terms that end with p, and then the whole numbers. The whole numbers would be the 7 and the 5 that do not end with a variable. So like I said, I'm going to use my circle and box method. I'm going to go ahead and circle my 7 for my whole numbers. That is a positive 7 because there is no sign in front of it. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to make sure to circle the sign in front of it. So this 5 right here is a positive 5. There is no other whole number, so I'm now going to move to the p family. This 2p is a positive 2p, so I'm going to box it. And then I'm going to box the positive 3p. So that way I identified my like terms, and now I'm going to go ahead and move over here and work on them. So I have 7 plus 5. Because I said you're always adding them, I'm just doing the work here to the side. I'm going to go ahead and add my like terms. I understand that at this point, this is all positive, so you can do this off the top of your head, and you probably do not need to do it on the side. But in a second, they're going to add negative signs, and you want to make sure you are doing the work on the side and not off the top of your head until you get really, really comfortable with this. So I'm going to still do it on the side so that you can see the steps that we're taking. So 7 plus 5 is going to give me 12. I combined those, or in other words, I added them. So now they are no longer a 7 or a 5. They were combined to become a 12. So I'm going to go ahead and write 12. And now I'm going to work on the positive 2p. And then that's a positive 3p. Now, a lot of people, they seem to forget the p, so try not to forget the p or any letter in that case. So all you're going to do is add the 2 and the 3, and you're going to get 5, and then you're just going to bring the p over. Okay, that's a positive 5p. So once I write positive 5p, it becomes an expression. And this is the simplest form of the expression that was just in front of us. We combine everything we could combine. You cannot combine this 12, this whole number, to this 5p. You cannot do that. You can't do 12 plus 5 gives me 17p. You cannot do that. You cannot. if this was a 12p, you could do that. But because it's a 12, there's no way we can just combine it to this p. I want to keep that in mind. It has to end in the same variable. All right. Let's work on this one, which has negative numbers. So I'm going to use my circle and box method. This is a positive 4r, and here is my negative 2r. So I wrote look for negative signs. Look out for negative signs, because that minus sign does belong to the 2r. Remember, any sign in front of my term belongs to the term itself. So I'm going to circle that, and then I'm going to go ahead and box my negative 5 and my positive 4. This is when it is really important to do your work on the side. So over here we have positive 4r plus, because we're combining, regardless if this is a negative or not, we're still combining, negative 2p. The reason you want to do this, because once you have it written out like this, you can follow your positive and negative addition rule. So the rule is, if you remember, is you want to pick the bigger sign. So you want to look at which number has the bigger sign. So this is a 4 and that's a 2. The 4 is positive, so at the end of the day, this is going to be a positive. And because one is positive and one is negative, we subtract. Keep that in mind, guys. You subtract when you have opposite signs. If they are the same signs, you add them. So we chose the bigger number, 4. My answer is positive. 1 is 4. Positive 4, 1 is negative 2. So now we're going to subtract 4 minus 2, and we're going to get positive 2p. This is really important that you remember the rules from your addition and subtraction when it involves negative signs. So I combined or added these two terms, and I got positive 2p. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2p here. And these are no longer useful to us. We combine them. And now we're going to do the same thing with our negative 5. Don't forget the signs. Plus our 4. Same rule. Which number is bigger, the 5 or the 4? In this case, the 5 is bigger, and the 5 is a negative number, so our answer is going to be negative. And because one is negative and one is positive, opposite signs, going in the opposite direction, we are going to subtract. 5 minus 4 gives us 1. When you get this answer right here, this negative 1, you can just write negative 1 and you now have your expression. That is your answer. Some of you guys might do this. You might do plus negative 1, and that is okay as well, but you're just adding extra signs there. So me personally, I would just do 2p, positive 2p, what I got there, and over here I got my negative 1, and it creates an expression. Once you combine them, you get an expression. Okay, my last tip here is combining like terms is not solving for the variable. It is simplifying. I just want to make sure we understand that when we're solving for an equation or solving an equation, you're trying to figure out, like in this case, you would figure out P equals something or R equals something. With expressions, we're not doing that. We're simplifying it to the simplest form, and that's it. It's done. Okay? Sometimes you might get one term, sometimes you might get 2 or 3. It just depends on what's given to you. All right, let's do example 1. Combine the like terms to create an equivalent expression. Okay, so I'm going to use my circling technique. I have a negative 4p and a negative 6p. And here's my addition sign. Even though this addition sign is here, they use parentheses to show you that this is a negative, okay? So both of them are negatives and both of them are p's. So we can actually just add this together. Because they're both negatives, my answer is going to be a negative. Do not get confused with the fact that when you are multiplying negatives, you get a positives. This is not multiplication or division. This is addition. So when you are adding two negatives, you're just getting a bigger negative. So we know it's going to be negative because the signs are negative. And then we're going to do 4 plus 6, and then that gives us 10. And do not forget your p's. Go ahead and bring, so my answer would be negative 10p. You simplified it to the simplest form, and that is your complete answer. All right, example number 2. Combine the like terms to create an equivalent expression. Okay, we have positive 2s and a negative 4s. You want to look at this and see which sign is bigger. So 2 and 4. 4 is bigger than 2, just the number 4. So a negative is attached to the 4, so my answer is going to be negative. And because one is positive and one is negative, we actually subtract. So we're going to do 4 minus 2, and we're going to get 2 and the s. Do not forget the s. Okay? So my answer is negative 2s. If you take it step by step, you'll create your expression. Just take it step by step by focusing on my negative sign, then my actual number, and then if there's a variable, bring the variable down. From the last one, you can see the difference is that they were 2 negatives, so you just added them. But when they're opposite signs, you take the bigger sign and then you subtract it, okay? Example 3. Combine the like terms to create an equivalent expression. We have negative 2k. We have a negative 4k. And then over here by itself, we have a positive 5. Okay, so I'm going to do my work to the side for my negative 2k plus my negative 4k. Both signs are negative. So I'm just going to get a bigger negative. I'm going to go ahead and put my negative sign. And then I'm going to add 2 plus 4. Because when they're both the same sign, you just add. Alright, so 2 plus 4 is 6. And I'm going to bring down my k. So once I combine these two, I'm going to cross them out. And I have a negative 6k. Now, even though I boxed this whole number 5, I can't combine that to anything else. There's nothing else to combine it to. So literally all you do, bring it down, and you have a positive 5. And that is your expression. We went from 3 terms to 2 terms. We still simplified. It might not be 1 term, but you did simplify it, and that's your answer. Example 4. All right, I wanted to throw this one in there in case you saw this one. This says 5k plus negative 2k minus negative 1. Before you get started, if you get one like this, I want you to look at this. The fact that they threw in a subtraction sign here, you don't want to use the subtraction sign. You want to turn this to addition. So hopefully you guys remember that when this is a subtraction sign, you can turn it to addition, especially when it's double negatives, by just doing addition. And then whenever you turn this to addition, you have to change the next sign to the opposite sign. So double negatives do give you double positives, or you can think of it as you change this to addition. So I have to change this to the opposite sign, which would be positive. And it's just so much easier like that. You want to do that instead of keeping that subtraction sign there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and circle my 5k, circle my negative 2k because they both end with k, and I'm going to box my positive 1. It's now a positive. Don't forget it's now a positive. All right, I'm going to go to the side. This is 5k plus, this is negative 2k. One is positive, one is negative. You want to take the bigger number. 5 is bigger than 2, so since 5 is positive, my answer is going to be positive. Because one is positive and one is negative, I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 2 gives me 3. Don't forget your k. So this gives me 3k. And we're done with the k's. And this, we can't group it with anything else, so just bring it straight down. If you can't group something, just bring it straight down. Guys, I know at first it's going to be a little bit difficult, especially because they're throwing in the negative signs. what I want you to do, if you don't get it, if you go to Khan Academy and you fail it, that is okay. But come back to the video and watch the video again. So just keep watching it until it makes sense, and press pause and take notes and actually look at what I'm saying before you're moving on to the video. That being said, your independent work is you're going to go on the Khan Academy. You're going to do, it's an assigned lesson. It's combining like terms with negative coefficients. And then you're going to move into iReady and do the equivalent expressions. That'll be in the blue lessons. I hope you guys get it. If you need any help, make sure you reach out. And once again, take notes. Take notes like we do in class and review your notes. You are going to struggle maybe the first or the second, but eventually it'll get easier.